let's break down the Grok 4 launch. DDoS has a summary. Insane that Elon Musk has pulled it off again, absolutely crushing the AI wars with Grok 4. And we can go into some of the meta.
Crushing the benchmark wars.
For sure. And there's a question about like, are we post-benchmark? Does this matter? What's the real question to be asking here? But there's a bunch of interesting takes. So just summarizing the core announcements, post-training RL spend was equal to pre-training spend for this release. That's the first time it's ever been like that. I think when you go back to the original RLHF stuff that ChatGPT was doing, that kind of unlocked like, oh, wow, this really, really works. I'm pretty sure the pre-training spend was an order of magnitude or 2 orders of magnitude bigger.
Yep.
Now we are truly in this reinforcement learning regime. $3 per million input is tokens, $15 per million output tokens, 256,000 token context window, price 2x beyond 128K. It's #1 on humanity's last exam, which interestingly was a
Which is effectively like postgraduate PhD level problems, but across a bunch of different domains.
Yep.
So everything from literature to physics.
Yeah, kind of like the hardest SAT possible. Interestingly, I believe that benchmark was created by Scale AI. And so Alex Wang is now at Meta trying to figure out how can we beat our own exam. And Elon's just like, I'm #1 at your thing.
Interesting dynamic. Yeah, the real test would be Elon, doing the same problem set himself and saying, look.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was talking to Tyler about this before the show. Like, it's like humanity's last exam. It's like really good at PhD level math, PhD level stuff. But like, how often are you running into those types of problems?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the whole thing about there's this concept of like spiky intelligence, right? Where it's like, okay, it's really good at this very obscure problem that I never deal with. Yeah. But if I have a super long kind of like context window, like, there's no kind of like long term, it just completely loses its footing and then it's like useless.
Yeah, we're kind of in like less of the benchmark regime and more of the agentic, like how long can the agent run? So it's like, we're in the 15-minute AGI regime. Maybe this is 15 minutes of like even better AGI, but we want to go to 30 minutes.
Well, and Dwarkesh on Monday, this takes me back to him talking about continual learning being the next problem that we really need to solve because it's great if you have a PhD level expert in your pocket that can solve any problem in any domain almost instantly. But if it can't learn and take feedback and improve on certain tasks, then it's basically like useless. Like if you had a PhD level, a PhD join your team to work on a specific problem, but it was hard restarting at the beginning of every single task with no prior knowledge. It would be almost impossible for that person to succeed. So but humans still got it on that front.
But at the same time, like if you are trying to just really establish yourself as at least an API for tokens that every business should check out against Anthropic or the OpenAI APIs. Just saying, hey, we're on the frontier. Or Gemini, we're on the frontier is a good way, and they certainly proved that with GPQA, hard graduate math problems at 88%. The really interesting news is
it's worth calling out. It's worth calling out. So Grok got #1 on humanity's last exam at 44.4%. #2 is sitting at 26.9%. And then going down this list of all these different sort of challenges, they are consistently well beyond the second place. So they are at the frontier now of all these different benchmarks.
Yeah. So Mike Knoop over at ArcAGI says, zooming out on Arc progress, I'd say OpenAI's O-series progression on V1 is a bigger deal than Grok's progression on V2 so far. The O-series marked a critical frontier AI transition moment from scaling pre-training to scaling test time adaptation. And this was the O-series progression, if you remember that. OpenAI was spending, it was like thousands of dollars of reasoning tokens generated in the test time inference to actually get a good score on the V1 of ArcAGI. And so it had to think a ton, but it was able to figure it out. And at least it proved that throwing a ton of tokens and a ton of inference at a problem and letting it cook basically wound up producing progress there. So that was kind of like a new just a new paradigm.
Yeah.
Says, whereas Grok 4 mostly takes existing ideas and just executes them extremely well. In my opinion, the notable thing is the speed at which XAI has reached the frontier. And that is really, like, it just can't be understated that this is crazy. You put a post from Owen in the chat. So
I'll pull it up here. He says, Elon Musk is such a beast. I'm not even a pure fanboy anymore. How does he's a lot of swearing in here, Owen. Got to keep the timeline PG. But how does he come out of nowhere with a cold start, late to the game, and ship Grok 4 and do it alongside everything else he's up to? He's launching new political parties. Yeah. He's literally magnitudes above every founder. It's humbling. So
basically everyone
impressive.
Agrees that
it's almost like he was a co-founder
of
OpenAI.
Yeah, I guess he was returned.
You would have to be almost be a co-founder over there to be able to do something like this.
Yeah. Let me tell you about Graphite. Code review for the age of AI. Graphite helps teams on GitHub ship higher quality software faster. You can get started for free at graphite.dev.
If you want to ship like Ramp, get on Graphite.
Yeah, Chamath was saying the same thing. Somebody in his reply says, seriously, how does this guy produce what he produces? Meta is buying talent at $200 million a year, and Elon keeps his people at a fraction. It's mind-blowing. Very deeply underappreciated edge for Elon, says Chamath. The retention of the best people happen when you can offer them a freewheeling culture of technical innovation, no politics, and few constraints. And people in the comments are like, no politics. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, can get a little political over there, but
probably not within the engineering org at XAI, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's probably just, okay, how do we build the biggest thing? Cool.
Well,
like,
you can imagine the politics of like who gets the best spot for their tent in the office. There's a hierarchy, tent hierarchy. Proximity to the bathroom.
I want to be directly under the air conditioning unit. I want to be closer to my desk.
The windows can be nice too, so you can pull down your tent a little bit and get a little view, morning light.
I wonder what the political structure is of the tent
the
city.
Tent hierarchy.
So is it democracy? Do they vote for who runs the tent city? I guess it's just the
XAI tent city.
It's probably just Elon at the top. But does he have a tent?
Something about San Francisco and tents.
Yeah, very funny. But Swix has been chiming in saying, like, we need community notes for LLM benchmark porn because in the Grok 4 launch, they highlight this AIME competition math problem, and I mean so Matt Schumer is basically saying AIME is saturated. Let that sink in. Grok 4 got 100%. It made no mistakes on that benchmark, which is obviously very impressive. But there's this extra comment about the nature of AIME. And so it's a cautionary tale about math benchmarks and data contamination. Apparently, like predictions was that the models weren't smart enough to actually solve these. But he says, I used OpenAI's deep research to see if similar problems to those in AIME exist on the internet. And guess what? An identical problem to question 1 of AIME 2025 exists on Quora. I thought maybe it was just a coincidence, so I used deep research again on problem 3, and guess what? A very similar question was on math.stack exchange. Still skeptical. I did problem 5, and a near identical problem appears on math stack exchange. And so, like at a certain point, if people put out a benchmark, then talk about it a lot online, and then that gets baked into the training data, you're just memorizing the result. You're not necessarily actually learning everything. It's still cool. It's good. It's good to have everything memorized, but it really it's not beating like the knowledge retrieval knowledge engine allegations, and we're not really in full
be
like,
interested
nature of intelligence.
When Scott Wu was on the show earlier this year, he was basically saying AI will win an IMO gold medal this year. He felt very confident in that. Yep. And I'd be interested to see how he thinks about
and I'm pretty sure
new performance.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the IMO gold medal questions are public once the IMO happens. So every year they're developing new questions, but then they go out there and then they get memorized and the solutions become discussed, and there's all the context baked around that, and so it gets kind of baked in. So big question about how valuable are these. At the end of the day, it's really just about like adoption, and that's why we were looking at the Poly market for the best. Which company has the best AI model at the end of July, and XAI has just surpassed Google, which was sitting around 80% chance for a while, and then started dropping earlier this week, last week, started dropping, and now XAI is sitting at 48%, Google's sitting at 45%.
Well, yeah, actually it's updating live. Google's back up at 49%.
Is Google planning to launch something new in July? Because it feels like this market particularly is more driven by Google's release schedule. Because Google might have something in the lab, but like they like to release things at specific times. Like it's a big company. They don't just like
who knows,
drop it.
Gemini team Logan over there might be fixated on this poly market
being
like, I need to. Yeah. He was like, during the wait, he was like, if you need something to kill the time, Google AI Studio.
So I mean, people were definitely memeing the production values on the Grok 4 launch because it was supposed to start at 8. I think it went live at 8:45 or something like that, maybe a little bit later at Pacific time. And Eigen Robot was saying,
this market is based on LM Arena, specifically the text leaderboard. So currently, they haven't fully updated it, so it's unclear. Right now, Gemini 2.5 Pro is still at the top, but I think the expectation is once they get Grok up there, it will be the top spot. So we'll keep following this market. There's over 2 million of volume already on it. So
it's so interesting that Anthropic's not on this poly market at all. Because people talk about them as having like the best vibes, the best like big model smell, the best like, interaction. And LM Arena is like supposed to kind of like test that with these A/B tests, and yet like doesn't seem to be performing there. But it almost doesn't matter because they're just focused on like the business at this point as opposed to like the benchmarks. So I don't know. It's all changing.
We have a post here from Ben Hylek. He says, Elon Musk on AI. So during the presentation, a lot of people were critiquing the presentation, saying that it didn't feel like super polished or whatever. I don't think that was the intent. And it was pretty fixated on the models themselves and what went into them and what they're good at. But Elon did have this one quote in here where he says, and at least if it turns out, so he's talking about, what kind of impact AI will have on the world. And he goes, at least if it turns out to not be good, I'd at least like to be alive to see it happen.
It's like, if we get the Terminator ending, I want to be around for that.
Yeah, I want to experience it.
What does that say about his timelines? Because it's like, is he expecting not to be alive? Like, I feel like most people that have been in the Doom category have been like, the Doom's coming soon. Not the Doom's coming in 200 years.
I read into it more like he will find it interesting if that is the outcome, and it'll be entertaining. Less so like, will I be alive when it happens, kind of thing. But who knows? There was another funny quote at the end of the presentation where Elon kind of looked around at the very end and he's like, anyone else have anything to add? And one of the engineers goes, "Sir, it's a good model, sir." And then they cut it.
Extremely online crew.
Yeah.
Definitely on brand. Well, Ben Hylek, as you know, he's been on the show. He's a designer, probably working in Figma.
All day.
Think bigger, build faster. Figma helps design and development teams build great products together. You can get started for free at Figma.com.
And we have our first product coming out very soon with Figma Make
cool.
that Tyler has been cooking on. I've been very excited.
He showed me it, and I was like, oh, like someone built the thing that we were thinking about building. Like, and he was like, no, like I did
generated this.
This is in Figma. And I was like, this is like an iframe on another website that like already exists, because it looks like exactly what we want, but it looks so good. That,
it looks like he worked on it. He looks like
Tyler.
It looks like he worked on it for like a few weeks.
No, it looked like someone else did it. It looked like it was a professional product that like stole our idea. Basically, I was like, oh, like someone else got to it. That was the vibe when I heard it. Yeah. Well, how has the experience been? I don't know if you want to leak exactly what you're working on, but
I don't want to talk about it too closely, but
how many prompts did it take you to get where you showed me?
Yeah, I mean maybe 5.
That's so crazy. This thing is so
the design is
detailed.
super. It's really great.
It's really good.
Yeah, the fact that it came out looking like basically like 90%.
Yeah. And I imagine that there's probably like the last 10%, if we were really strict about like, it's got to be on this exact style guide, like that might be something where like, Tyler winds up spending more time finalizing and customizing stuff. But in terms of like just getting a functional prototype out, oh man, it was mind blowing. It was awesome. I'm very excited about the age of vibe coding. This is an interesting chart from Tracy Alloway.
Yep.
Been on the
Let's
show.
pull it up.
The cost to rent an NVIDIA H100 GPU hit a new low this week with annualized revenue at 95% utilization, falling from 23,000 at the start of May to less than 19,000 today. So that's not that big of a percentage drop, but it is. But I mean, it is a 20% drop.
It's a consistent trend.
It's a consistent trend. I wonder how much of this is driven just by all of the frontier labs that are driving the most adoption or moving on from the H100 to the 200. I don't know what else would be driving this, because if you can still get, like, if you only take a 20% drop off of a full refresh of a new hardware,
and
it's not the latest and greatest anymore.
Pricing drop, not a utilization drop.
Yeah. Annualized revenue at 95% utilization. So this is revenue per unit.
So utilization is still very high. It's the price that these neoclouds are able to rent them for, which is dropping.
Yeah,
which tracks.
I mean the market's more competitive than ever. There's more neoclouds spinning up and more people actually inferencing these things. And then I guess this is the question of like how stuck will certain workloads get? Like if you have figured out a great use case for an LLM in your organization, and it's something that's not one-shotting your entire stack or whatever, but it's just like we have data flowing through our systems, and we are going to use LLMs are going to interact with every PDF that gets uploaded to our website or whatever, and so we're inferencing a lot. Like you might not need to put that on the latest hardware or update the hardware forever. You might just be like, yep, it's Llama 3, it works. It's on H100s and it'll be on H100s forever. And that piece of our business will just stay there. Just like, we have a Postgres database that, works, and we're not changing it every year. We're not changing everything. We're just trying to cost optimize that, and just hopefully the cost just comes down on that. But like we've solved this particular problem, then we'll go solve new problems with new technology. So I think that's probably what's going on here. But it gets to the point of like the biggest question with Grok is that like the model clearly is frontier. It works. Like the whole fine tuning on the actual X account is like a crazy final step of like system prompt, and people were joking about that. Like, oh, they're gonna fix that. It's like that's not what they're demoing today. They're demoing like the underlying raw model, which is clearly like just engineering focused, as you saw in the demo, which was just like benchmarks and stats.
Turns out the secret ingredient to crushing every benchmark is to have the bunch of data from schizophrenic posters on X.
No, I don't think
obviously
that at all.
not.
I actually think it's the design of the RLHF stuff and the design of the reinforcement learning pipeline. Tyler, you got anything?
Yeah, I mean, I think just like so far what I've seen on X, like the overall response, like vibe stuff, is that people are saying maybe it was a little too kind of overfit on the RL, like VR, like verifiable rewards. Yeah. Like you kind of see this when even in the demo, I think it would sometimes respond in the answers with like in like LaTeX formatting.
Oh, sure.
Which is like, okay, that means obviously they've trained a ton on math questions, stuff like that.
Papers and stuff.
Maybe people are saying maybe it was kind of bench maxed. You see it like 100% on Amy is like kind of crazy.
It's like sauce. It's like you don't want to be too good. Yeah. This is the thing about democracy. Like if you win like 80% of the popular vote, it's like, okay, it was a blowout. If you win 100% of the popular vote, like probably not a democracy. I don't know. I mean, in theory, these things should be able to do it. But I'm interested to know more if we dig into ArcAGI. Is there more stuff going on there? Are there any secrets? Because it does seem like kind of an outlier result. You can see it from this Aaron Levy post. Grok 4 looks very strong. Importantly, it has a mode where multiple agents do the same task in parallel, then compare their work to figure out the best answer. In the future, the amount of intelligence you will get will just be based on how much compute you throw at it. I was joking with Tyler about this, that the individual models are a mixture of experts models. So there's a whole bunch of parameters, right? And then the individual parameters like light up the different neurons based on an internal to the model router. So there's kind of like the math section of the brain, or the literature section of the brain. And so this was like one of the key breakthroughs in like GPT-4, right? Was mixture of experts.
People think, we're not super sure.
Yeah, we don't fully know, but that's like an internal decision that happens within the model to be like, let's go. This feels like a math question. Let's go down the math path in the model.
Yeah.
But then Grok 4 is doing multiple. It's running the same model multiple times and then comparing the results. And so now you have
grading it.
Yeah, you have multiple agents running mixture of expert models. So you have mixture of agents running mixture of experts models. And the next thing is going to be like, if you want the absolute best intelligence, you need a mixture of companies. And you need like, I send one prompt and it goes to Grok and Claude and GPT and Gemini and a human.
Yeah, I wonder how OpenRouter's thinking about this stuff. It is funny to think about the human version of that, where you give 5 engineers on your team build the same feature and then kind of compare notes afterward. It's wildly inefficient, but with software, when you can do these things like very quickly, there's incremental cost, but you can have more confidence in results. And
it's basically like having a brainstorming meeting with the whole team and just throwing up a question and being like, hey, like we have this hard problem that we need to solve. Here's my idea. What do you think? What does Tyler think? What does Ben think? You kind of like go around the table. Everyone kind of gives their input, their various expertise. They kind of think through the problem in different ways, and then you compare answers, and everyone kind of coalesces around one strategy. This is like how work happens in the real world with a meeting. It's kind of the same thing, but certainly expensive to do that. So it'll be interesting to see where companies, like how eager are companies to jump over to Grok, because it seems like it's been a big lever for Microsoft to have Grok in the ecosystem as kind of a stalking horse for all the other models, because Satya wants Azure to be very model independent, serve them all. They have I think they have exclusivity for ChatGPT or GPT APIs, or they have obviously like a great deal there with OpenAI. And so if they can have Grok 4 as well, that's another tool in the tool chest to be like this top layer.
Satya's in such a good position. It's probably not discussed enough how much just by owning those end customer relationships and being able to vend in whatever model is hot at that moment and give people optionality and still get 20% of OpenAI's revenue, at least for now.
Yeah. He's also SOC 2 compliant. And if you want to get SOC 2 compliant, head over to Vanta, automate compliance, manage risk, prove trust continuously. Vanta's trust management platform takes the manual work out of your security and compliance process and replaces it with continuous automation, whether you're pursuing your first framework or managing a complex program. Eigenrobot was talking trash about the production values.
Well, I don't know about trash. They were just noticing.
I didn't think it was that bad. I think
slides are worse than I'd create after getting roped into a presentation with 1 hour notice. You can tell the engineers made them themselves. I think this is just a reflection of the culture, right? They're very clearly is like screenshots dropped into a slide.
It's but this is a reflection. It's like light mode screenshots on dark mode slides. So let's do black slides. And then you come with your white screenshots that are kind of like misaligned and not really evenly distributed. Like they didn't do like the distribute evenly or whatever, distribute horizontally.
Still gets the point across.
Yeah.
And I think it's a reflection of their culture.
Yeah.
And it shows what they care about, what they don't care about. They're not trying to be the most polished. They're just trying to be the best.
Yeah. Eigenrobot kind of did like a whole like live tweet here.
Yeah, so Elon was predicting the model will discover new physics within 2 years. He said, let that sink in. Silence.
Is that
one engineer laughs awkwardly?
Is that sooner or later than his previous timeline? Because he was talking about AI discovering new physics soon. I don't remember if he was saying
dating it
2 years or 3 years or 1 year before, because this could be that he's still excited about this. He still thinks it's possible, but he thinks it's going to take longer than he said previously, and that's kind of the more important update. I don't remember what he said originally.
See if Grok can find out.
But he was saying this at the Grok 3 launch that like that is the goal, and if you can get there, like you've kind of solved everything. And Sam Altman was talking about that too. That if you can create a super intelligence, like that's probably the first thing that you'd want to do is like, hey, go discover all the new physics and like really help us figure out how the world works, so you can solve, fusion
truth seeking,
and all this other stuff. I want to be clear. I love all you guys at XAI and only want the best for you, but I'm going to continue to live post. Elon attempts to give a speech on alignment involving a very small child, a child much smarter than you. The monologue rambles with no conclusion. In sight, a pause. Yeah. Will this be bad or good for humanity? He says at least if it turns out to not be good, I'd like to be alive to see it happen. They had a polymarket integration. That was kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. Basically giving the model access to real-time polymarket data so that it can help make predictions and sort of add context around the market itself.
Yeah, that's interesting. Elon asking the real questions. You say that's a weird photo, but what is a weird photo? I still don't understand why we're looking at weird photos of XAI employees, but they were charming. They're calling it Super Grok. Crazy features, 16-bit microprocessors. What is? I don't even understand what this is. They built like a game in Grok. They had a demo of a video game generated by Super Grok. It's a Doom clone. Every time the PC shoots an enemy, floating text appears reading Grokdom. Elon is fabricating timelines for product launches on the spot. The engineer sitting next to him is looking at the floor, face impassive, nodding. It's a good model, sir. For real, though. Congrats on the launch, guys.
It's a good model, sir.
I thought this post from the actual XAI engineer, Eric Zelikman, was funny. It was like AI model version numbers over time. Did you see this?
No.
So it's this chart of the version numbers over time, and you can see that Grok is versioning fastest because it's like, at this point, what else are we measuring? Like at least they're iterating on the version number effectively, as opposed. And I guess this is a shot at OpenAI because they launched 4.5 and then went to 4.1, and they're kind of like, there's this big question about like when will GPT-5 come? The expectations are so high for GPT-5, and so they've obviously with the Grok teams are like, hey, at least every 3 months we release a new full number. So I wonder that the 5 is a number that really no one has like gone for.
Yeah.
And I wonder if Grok will do it first. Like if you draw the line on this, they certainly should do it. In like 3 months, they should have Grok 5, and there's no reason that they shouldn't. But maybe there's.
And it's very possible that Colossus is the key.
Yeah.
To getting to 5.
The new data center. Yeah. Well, they'll need Linear to plan that out. Linear is a purpose-built tool for planning and building products, meet the system for modern software development, streamline issues, projects, and product roadmaps.
They
Linear.app.
Need Linear badly, so hopefully they've gotten signed up.
Near said Grok on Humanity's Last Exam, Grok 4. I'm not sure I buy, even in the general case, that there's a given Humanity's Last Exam number which implies you discover useful new physics. How would one make a benchmark of the proper shape for this? You'd have to have a validation set of questions which are outside the scope of what we currently are able to do. You could choose things on the edge of our knowledge distribution and then try and exclude. It is interesting. If you are able to memorize every hard math problem, does that allow you to discover new math? Like it's sort of a prerequisite because you have to.
I think where I've imagined these discoveries coming from are having a single intelligence that has PhD level intelligence across, like a single mind that has PhD level intelligence across every human domain, right? And being able to combine ideas from different domains. Like historically, a lot of innovation is just taking something from one field, bring it over here, making some combination of it. Yeah. I think Elon talks about the potential of discovering new physics, but again, didn't spend a lot of time like breaking down how that would actually happen. But world is unpredictable, so we'll see.
Yeah, it's interesting. People are really pushing this idea of like we are accelerating. Like the ARC AGI leaderboard is accelerating, but I keep seeing this and feeling deceleration. Like I am not feeling acceleration right now. Are you, Tyler?
Yeah, I don't know. I think generally I'm kind of like not that interested in a lot of these kinds of benchmarks. Like, I think ARC AGI is more interesting, but just like the Humanity's Last Exam, the kind of general math, physics knowledge, it doesn't seem to be that like, it doesn't seem to line up with, you see GPT 4.5 kind of does very poorly on these things, but like writing, it does really great. So like I think I'm more like, if I were to go to long short on like different benchmarks, like the usefulness of them, I think stuff like HLE, I'm kind of short. Long, I'm like, have you guys seen the Minecraft benchmark where it builds the two different, you basically, two models build like a Minecraft there's like a prompt. It's like build a house.
Yeah.
Then you can choose, and then it's like their
The
rank,
models
stuff like that.
yearn for the minds.
But who's grading that? The human?
It's a human who picks between them.
Okay.
And then it's kind of like an ELO.
Oh, okay.
But just like general kind of creative tasks.
Sure.
I think stuff like that. Aiden Bench is good.
Yeah.
I think even on the Grok launch, there was the vendor bench.
Which one's Aiden Bench?
Aiden Bench is Aiden McLaughlin's benchmark. It's just like, it's kind of hard to describe how it works exactly, but it's just various like creative tasks. How like kind of novel its thinking is, the like style of its text.
Sure.
Wait,
is it just like it's just like whichever one he likes the most?
I mean,
at the end of the day, like he's the only grader.
No. There is like an objective like function that
Okay.
you can like run it. It's not just like
Okay.
Aiden
It's not
picking
just like-
which
the
one.
idea
He's like open eye again.
it will be funny. You know, there's a period of life where your SAT score like matters a lot,
Totally.
and it says something about you.
Yep.
And then a decade later, it's, you know, what you can do, what you have done
Yep.
starts to matter a lot
Totally.
more. And so I do think we'll reach that point where it's like, yes, you can one shot every hard exam question there is that you can throw at it, but like, what can you do for me?
Yeah, totally. And I think that's why like the bigger question is almost like, you know, ChatGPT DAUs. And like actual revenue and
the final
and app
benchmark.
installs and stuff. Yeah, I mean the revenue thing's interesting because you wind up in like B2B cloud world, which is valuable, but it's maybe less. It's like it's more competitive because it's more commoditized. And
well, yeah, if you don't have a lot of leverage in the enterprise, if Azure is able to offer infinite models that are infinite frontier models, open source models that are maybe just behind the frontier but great at certain tasks. The leverage isn't quite there. There will need to be another pretty significant leap. Until then, you know, Anthropic being really good at code gen, there's leverage there.
Yep.
We saw this yesterday with Llama switching over to
Anthropic
models internally, and then, you know, just having a consumer app with a lot of users, also very valuable.
Yeah, the other interesting thing about the foundation model layer commoditizing and it becoming like cloud, and if you have a model, you'll just be like vended in as an API to anything else, like the token factory, is that the hyperscaler clouds are extremely profitable. Like even though AWS, GCP, and Azure are all somewhat directly competitive and they're somewhat perfect substitutes for each other, they have not driven prices to zero, such in the way airlines are like deeply unprofitable. Like AWS and Google Cloud are both profitable.
Yeah, or you look in other commodity sectors like oil and gas.
And I don't know if that's just because there's lock-in. I'm not exactly sure, but there's something about where, you know, maybe the counterintuitive take is that yes, they do commoditize, and there are a few major foundation models that are frontier, and they all are roughly the same price, but they all have decent lock-in with their customers to the point where they're still able to extract some level of profit, or they're just creating so much value that even if they're taking like a small marginal slice on top of the cost to run, that they're creating so much value that they still have 50% margins or something like that. Because like, I mean, this was the story of AWS. Like no one knew how much money it was making, and then they had to break out the financials in one of Amazon's earnings reports, and it was like the AWS IPO, as Ben Thompson put it.